We're going to now look at the integration settings in the builder. Let's see what that looks like. Okay, we are again talking about the integration tab in the DataTables builder, and specifically we're going to be hitting this gear icon, which will pull up a new card window. When we look at the integration settings, this is what it looks like before. We basically have three options and it tells us there is no integration set. But once we do set something, that area changes. So when we say, hey, let's add an on-row click, it'll perform that kind of code, cell, and button respectively. So in this case, we've just chosen an integration. And I just want to point out that afterwards, the integration box, the add row click and cell click button is removed. And the only option there is to remove that integration. So right now, the code is not built to allow you to add multiple types of integration. This is a learning lesson just to be able to show you how to write your own code. If you need to do multiple things, you'll just have to figure that out by adjusting your own code. But what we can do is once you've added an integration yourself, you can hit this button to remove it and reset, and that works perfectly well. If there is, there's two fields that are automatically on every type of click, and one of them is to choose the script that is going to be run. So there's a drop-down list of all available scripts, but you can also manually type something in here to enter that. That is required, so we know which script to run. And then over here on the table context, it says optional, but basically I do this to tell me where did that data come from. So it's just really contextual, and you can change this. It's not required, and I'll show you how to do that in the demo file. All right, so when we choose the option of clicking a row, we are going to see a few things happen to the integrations. First of all, the integration name is going to be updated to say we're working on a row. And then it's also automatically going to apply this script called onClickRow. And I've done that for you. This is just in the builder to show you how we can just manipulate some things, but it's not set that you have to have this script. Again, this is automatically populated. When we get the row click, there's two choices here, and we'll go over this when we do a row click demo, but I just want to point out that if you see an option that's kind of highlighted orange, it's a required field. So we either need to choose to return the entire row that we clicked on, or return a specific value. So when we do that, if we choose specific value, then we have another question. We have to answer what field do we want to return. Again, we will go over those things, but I'm showing you the integration window. Is if you're playing with it, you understand it's kind of just ask a question, follow-up question kind of module. So let's look at a cell click. Similar things, but on cell clicks, once you choose it, it changes it to a cell type of a click, and you get to change the script integration and the contact names, but there's no other further options for that one because the code is already set up to know wherever you clicked, I'm telling you what I'm doing where I clicked. And finally, we have a button click right here. And that one has quite a few actually options. So you'll notice that it changes to button, that you have a kind of an option here for, do you want that button to appear on each row? And then if you do, there'll be another follow-up question that was just there before. Do you want a selected value or the entire row? Or do you want the button to appear at the top of the table and have that come through and act on the entire table? So once you choose that option, you get, to fill in some more information. And then of course, if you can see here, when we have a button, we have a couple more things that we can fill out. And for purposes of the training, I've auto-filled them for you so that the code doesn't break, but you can certainly come in and rechange these, and we'll go over that in the lesson. So finally, what happens when you do that is after you've submitted and closed that window, you'll come back to the integration screen and now see that there's code populated. So all of that screen settings there for you is just running some scripts and some information based on your choices to write this code for you. And this happens to be an example of the on cell click. But once you come in here, you can see that the code's here. And then it's evaluated just like anything else that we've done with the substitution and replacements. And you can see here where we had chose the report name that came from our settings, the table context, that was the optional field on there where we said something. And then we had the required field of script name, and whatever we put in there is populating. So that's it. So using that little kind of integration settings window controls what type of action you're going to have and what scripts to perform and what other elements that you can add to it to make it act the way you want. So next up, we're going to just look at the demo file and kind of go through this quickly and just show you how that works. And then we're going to really get into the guts and actually do this work. We're in the demo file 4.1 looking at integration settings. Let's hit quick start. All right, there's a bunch of database files in here from prior, and usually I have you replicate and start a new code, but for the start of the demo files, I've done enough work that I've just got this one set up for you. So please type in 4.1 and go to the integration settings, and we're going to start working from there. What we're going to look at here is on this report, there is no clicking and there's nothing happened. And that's what integrations are. When you click an event, it triggers a response, like we're going to go do some action. So that's controlled in the integrations tab. When I look at here right now, there's nothing happening. To add an integration, basically we need to go into the settings and modify that. So we talked about this a little bit in the presentation, but let's go ahead and click the gear icon, and what appears is a card window for you guys. And right away it tells you there is no integration set, but as soon as you choose one of the three options that we have, that's going to change, and it's going to kind of ask you some prompted questions. So when you fill this out, it's really building the code to say you wanted to do this kind of click. I need some information from you so that I can perform that for you. So on a cell click, that's probably the easiest one. So we're just going to show you here. When you choose that, it basically auto-populates something for you. It turns this into telling you, hey, I'm doing a cell click. It's auto-populating right now that I'm going to run this particular script, and you guys can change this as you develop the code. And then it's also asking, you know, this is optional. Do I want to tell me where this data is coming from? And this just is helping in the script that you actually write to say, what am I going to do with it? So that's pretty easy. If you wanted to keep going with that, you basically say submit and close, and the code is going to work, and that's it. If we hit remove integration, we will get rid of all of these settings, and we can try a different integration. So we're going to go ahead and do that. And you can see when we do that, we're back to no integration. There's no code happening, and we get back to our choices, and we can submit and close and be done. But let's go ahead and hit the row click to see what our other options are. So now again, we can see that we went to the row, and that we've automatically put, the script has automatically been putting in here what one we're going to run. But here in orange, whenever you see that, it's a required field that hasn't been populated. I need you to make a choice. So in this question, we're asking, do you want to return the entire row when you click it of data, or do you want to return a specific value of data? So when you hit entire row, it chooses and populates the code, and you're done. If you hit specific value, then there's another question you have to fill in from here. So this just to get you familiar with how the UI works. But again, I don't want to actually build this right now. I just want to show you guys how to do this. But once you change the row return specific value, it did that. And if I change the entitled here, it tells you what kind of integration you built. I'm going to go ahead and remove that, and we're going to quickly go look at the button click. Same similar thought is it populates on button, tells you it's a button. And then when you make your choice, this one has one more question for you. It's basically saying, hey, are we going to add the button to the entire table or every row? And by choosing certain options, it will direct you again to another required question. So those are the things that control the UI, and you can kind of see what's happening here. But I am just going to move back to remove that integration. Let's quickly just go click an on-cell click and hit submit close. And you can see behind the window here that it's actually populated that code for us. And it looks just like any of our other templates. It kind of says, this is what's happening here. And we'll go over that in more detail in each lesson. And then of course, it's doing our substitution that we did. What script did we pick? What other things did we set on there? So that's it. That's how the integration settings work. I'm going to go ahead and just leave this in here for this next video. But on the next one, when we come back, we're going to go ahead and start looking at how ththose clicks happen. And when you come over to the preview, what actually happens here.